you ready? It's the Roundtable with me, Robert Bannon. Did you have a good Valentine's Day? Hey, hello. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Everybody, welcome to the Roundtable with me. It's so good to be with you here today. It's a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday edition show, and I'm so excited. Happy Valentine's Day, belated Valentine's Day. We have a special guest here with us tonight, and I'm really excited. Grammy winner Billy Vera is here. Billy and the Beat. You know the song. You know the songs, but I don't think you know all of the music that he's written, that he's recorded, the TV shows, the movies. Billy is here to tell us all talk about an illustrious career in Hollywood. He sure had it. So I'm so excited about that. Plus, earlier this week, I had a few minutes to sit with the lovely lady who is Adele in Legends in Concert in Las Vegas, right? She got a lot of press because if you have tickets to see Adele, well, you now can get free tickets to go to Legends and see the Adele lookalike. And she's going to chat with us at the very end today. So excited. I had a good Valentine's Day. I had a good week. Let's thank you for last week. Last week, we had quite the collection of people. As you can see, Matt Gould is here. They have a new album called Witness Uganda. We had their parents. We had their friends. Billy Porter sent a video. Leslie Odom Jr. sent a video. Stephen Schwartz, Shoshana Bean, Eden Espinosa. It was a Broadway extravaganza for sure. So thank you everyone who watched that. It was really a special show. And Griffin, who co-wrote the album, was not able to be here, but he did see it. Look at him. He's so sweet. They were so sweet and so supportive of having us on and talking about the album. Of course, it's brilliant. It's beautiful. I'm so proud of them. So what did I do this week? Oh man, what did I do this week? Take a look at the week in review. So this week, let's see what happened. I had a good friend of mine became the chairperson for the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce. So I got the privilege and pleasure to sing at their event. So that's me and my friend Gus. Congratulations, Gus Penaranda, on the new position and working in New Jersey to help make businesses more fair and equitable and a collection of businesses of all sorts of types for all sorts of people. And while I was down in South Jersey, you know, I was just talking to Billy Vera before we came on about he's in LA and you can't get good pizza. Well, I went to in Asbury Park. I went and had some pizza, and it's garlic knots as a crust. And that is a chicken parm pizza. They don't do that in Los Angeles. That's for sure. Holy calories. I may have to walk to LA to walk off that pizza. And then, you know, the Super Bowl, I went to my brother's house. That's my I call him my nephew. Look, that's how I felt about the game, because you know football is not my thing, but what was my thing was I watched the halftime show, and you know if you're of a certain age, I'm 38, so I was born in 1983. If you were growing up, you know that genre of music is a part of the pop culture now, and it was interesting and fun to see. You know, we're Italian. We're an Italian family from New Jersey. So we were 5 people. It was my dad, my brother, my sister-in-law, and my friend Mike. And, you know, 5 people, you need that many sandwiches for 5 people. It's Italian Jersey for you all day. And my Valentine's Day, I spent my Valentine's Day with my little, with my goddaughters sent me these balloons, and they're here. And I saw this little guy on Valentine's Day too. That's my little Sam. Us hanging out on Valentine's Day. So love is all around. I have love in my life. I hope you have love in your life. And if it's not a significant other, then it's definitely somebody to feel some love for sure. So thank you guys so much for my week in review. I just want to give you one quick shameless plug, and then we're going to talk all things Billy Vera. Here's my shameless plug of the week.
Because I'm shameless.
So this show is such a mess every week. My show, which is coming up, it's at Green Room 42, and it's in New York City, and you can get your tickets to see me on April 16th. It's the day before Easter. It's at 7 p.m. right smack in New York City, and we have a new title. We have the title for the show. The show is called Rewind, and it's going to be my story and my journey about growing up and a bunch of music and songs that I really love to sing. And I'll be doing that at Green Room 42. It will be one night only in New York City, and we'll do the show in a bunch of places. Billy, I'm coming to LA. I'm coming to LA in August to do a show too, and I can't wait to see your show. So we'll be out here in 1 second. So if you want to come hang out with me, go to robertbannon.com. You could always go to robertbannon.com and you can find out some more information for sure. So thank you. That's my shameless plug. Before we get started, next week, we're reuniting the cast of Merrily We Roll Along. We have Lonnie Price and Ann Morrison are here. Stephen Schwartz wrote the show. Hal Prince directed the show, theater icons and legends. So hear the inside story. So all my Broadway fans out there, Lonnie Price and Ann Morrison will be here. And coming soon, Anais Mitchell, Rufus Wainwright. I love Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr. of the Fifth Dimension. They'll be here also next month. So we have a lot of fun stuff. It's a mishmash, hodgepodge of pop culture and art, because all I want to do is talk to artists and see their story and journey and how they click. So thanks to you all, I get to do that. And if you'd like to support the show, oh, my mother makes me do this. You can always Venmo at our Bannon the money. Every penny of it goes to promote the show, to create this platform, and to get us online and more eyeballs on us. So if you would like to be generous and say, hey, I will appreciate it. If not, enjoy this moment. We just reached our 1,000th subscriber on YouTube. So that was a big milestone for my little show and my little project. So thank you for all your love and support from all over the place. It means a lot to me. So thank you for being here. I don't take it for granted, that's for sure. Thank you so much. When I was in LA last, I was visiting Eric Roberts, who was on our show, and I was visiting Eric and Eliza, and this gentleman walked over and was talking about music. And I asked him a question actually about Perry Como, which is something that his mom sang for Perry Como. And I love the Great American Songbook. And then it struck me like a ton of bricks that the song that we all know and love is such a piece of American history and one of the greatest records in pop music, in my humble opinion. But then I read about him and his career, and I was like, you are the most fascinating story. So Billy Vera is here. Do you want to see an amazing Hollywood story? Take a couple of clips and wait to hear about his journey and how he ended up to be who and where he is. Take a peek.
Album by request has officially gone gold. Now, what's gone gold? Does that mean how many? No.
500,000, I think.
500,000 copies. Not bad. Would you welcome Billy Vera and the Beaters? Billy.
What did you think I would do at this moment when you're standing before me with tears in your eyes? Not quite the other. How can we know if we run and hide somewhere between like and love? Sometimes we need a little time to find ourselves, make up our mind. I wanna be the one that you kiss goodnight. I wanna be your first kiss in the morning sunlight. Life goes on, and so do we. Just how we do it is no mystery. My eyes are getting weary, my back is getting tight. I'm sitting here in traffic on the Queensboro Bridge tonight. If I could just hold you, if I could just hold you,
And here you are. Oh my goodness. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Robert. You know that saxophone player you just saw? His name is Lon Price.
Uh,
He's been with me for 40, almost 42 years. My band.
40. Well, Billy, you sound stunning. It's in the original key. You're singing and you don't travel light when you put on a show. That is a band. That is an experience.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do record with a big band. You know, I love the big band sound. You know, my mom used to bring home the records from her era, you know, Duke Ellington and Tommy Dorsey and all that stuff. And I always wanted to sing with them. So finally, when Michael Bublé recorded my song At This Moment, the first check that came in paid for the whole big band album. Capitol Recording Studio A.
That is it. Those mailbox checks are the best.
Oh, Mr. Bublé. I've never met him, but you know, I'm grateful to him.
Well, we're gonna get to the song because I know already people are like, I can tell you where I was. I can tell you the moment I heard it. You know, the second I said to my father and my mother, Billy Vera were on, they were like, at this moment? Like it is a piece of American history, but you have such a but that's not the story. The story, I mean, it's a big part of the story for sure, but you have a artist family. Your both of your parents were in the business.
My sister too. Yeah.
And your sister.
Yeah.
And your first foray into this world was ask me if I'm wrong, was songwriting, really?
Well, yes and no. I first started, you know, with a high school band, you know, and that led to nightclub work. You know, it was the era of the twist. You know, Joey D and the Starlighters and Joey Checker and all that stuff. So every club suddenly became a twist club, you know. So we got a lot of work because we were young and we had to. So I was doing that, but then we decided to make a record. You know, this guy came and he claimed that he wrote a song just for me. It was a really nice song, and we recorded it. We got this guy Vinny Supa, who else, to put up some money to let us go in and make the record, and so we got it sold to a record company. And just as it was about to come out, this girl comes into the club one night and she said, "Oh man, Billy, I heard your record down at John's Paradise in the Bronx." I said, "Well, no, you didn't. It's not out yet." Well, as it turns out, we go down to John's Paradise, and on the jukebox was the original version of the song that this guy claimed that he wrote.
Oh,
yeah. And so the next day we call up the record company and say, "Hey man, this dude did not write the song." You know, it was Etta James and Harvey Fuqua of the Moonglobes had written it and recorded it. And so they got the label fixed in time. And the record went to #1 in Pittsburgh, you know.
Let's go Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's a great music town. And then the other side, which I wrote, which was just intended as a B-side, it became this top 10 record all over Louisiana and Texas. So the company said, "Geez, that's a good little song. Do you have any more songs like that?" I said, "Well, yeah, well, play me a couple." So I played a couple. They gave me $35 a piece.
Oh my!
And they paid for demos. And a couple of weeks later, the guy, this one song that I played for the guy, I'd written for this brand new girl singer named Dionne Warwick, who I thought was pretty good, not knowing that Backrack and David had her all tied up. You know? And so anyway, the guy calls up and says, "I got a record on one of your songs." I said, "Which one?" He said, "Mean Old World." I said, "Oh, cool. Who'd you get? Did you get that girl?" He said, "No, we got Ricky Nelson." I said, "Ricky Nelson? He's white, man. He can't sing my song." And he said, "You ungrateful little putz. That's music biz talk."
That's
for what I was. You know, he said, "You fool!" He said, "Ricky's going to do your song 5 weeks in a row on the Ozzie and Harriet show. You're going to make money from that. He always goes on the charts. You're going to have a hit record." First song I ever took to a publisher became a hit record.
Absolutely.
I said, "What an easy business!" Ha ha.
You made it. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Well,
And that became a song. That made me a songwriter. You know.
and you wrote then for the Shirelles, and people have covered the Fats Domino, Dolly Parton recorded your music, and of course Don't Look Back, which these are songs that played and live, and I'm always fascinated about songwriters because the song is associated a lot with the artist, but it's not the artist's song. So for you, what is your style? How did you write? Do you still write?
I haven't written in a long time because nowadays everybody writes their own songs, and I don't think it's the best idea in the world because you don't get as many good songs as you would get from professional songwriters.
Sure.
And I quickly learned. I got a gig as a staff songwriter at a publishing company, and they put me with this guy who was from my high school, as it turned out, Chip Taylor, who wrote Wild Thing, Angel of the Morning, And they said, "You need a little seasoning, write with Chip and he'll teach you." And so the thing is that you learn is you have to write to the artist. What subject matter does this artist like? What's their range? Some people have a wide range, like a Patti LaBelle, and some people, like a Jimmy Reed, the blues singer, or Shirley from the Shirelles, have a range of about 6 notes.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take all those things into consideration. When your boss knocks on your door of your little cubby hole that you're in, says, "Okay, the Drifters are recording next week. Write something for them," or the Shirelles. Well, okay, it's like being an actor. I got to write from the point of view of a girl, So I have to act, get in my head in there. How would a girl say this, or like Chip used to do? He'd say, "What would I want a girl to say to me?" And which is a good way to do that. So today you don't have professional songwriters for the most part.
No, and I remember, not this is just off topic, but I remember I was a music business major when I first went to college. I wanted to work in the record business. I love concerts. So I was selling tickets and I was like, I'm going to do this. And I remember going to a seminar in New York. Clive Davis was speaking, and he told the story about when Whitney signed and said, "Do you write?" And she was like, "I could write." And he was like, "You better leave it. If you don't write, don't write. Like, you better find a professional to do it."
Right.
That's a good one, Vera, to write that you a hit song.
Little 4-year-old Whitney came backstage at the Apollo Theater with her mother, Sissy Houston. My original singing partner was a woman named Judy Clay, who was part of the Drinkard Singers gospel group.
Mm-hmm.
And the group was owned, shall we say, by Lee Warwick. Original name was Drinkard, and her sister, Sissy, who became Sissy Houston. And Deanna Dee Warwick became Warwick. And they were in the Drinkards, and Judy was a pretty good singer. She was the lead singer most of the time. So anyway, when we played the Apollo Theater, Sissy came backstage to support us, and we walked off. It just so happened that night they wouldn't let us off the stage, and we had to go out and do an encore. And we walked back, and there's Sissy with little 4-year-old Whitney in her arms, and Sissy's crying. She was so happy. It was a great moment for a lot of reasons. It was the first time we played the Apollo was a month after Martin Luther King was killed. And there was riots going on in your neighborhood over there in Newark, and they had not seen our picture, so they didn't know what I looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So we go there for rehearsal the night before the next days or weeks show. In those days, you did a 7-day week, 5 shows a day.
My God.
And so Honey Coles, the great tap dancer from the team of Coles and Atkins, you've probably never heard of them, but they were great. Go on YouTube, they're wonderful. And he was the stage manager. And he said, "Oh, Harlem hasn't seen you yet," meaning me. He said, "I got an idea, though." He said, "Judy, you entered from stage right, and Billy, you entered from stage left. Wait for her to take 3 steps from the wings, and then you make your entrance and watch what happens." So there we are, the next day, first show. He put us on second, which is not a great spot. The opening is always a choreographed flash act, what they call a flash act. And then the second act is usually somebody new or not that great, blah, blah, blah. And so he put us on there, not knowing how we would be accepted or if we would be accepted. So I 1, 2, 3, enter. I hear 1,500 people gasp at the sight of me. And I hear people saying, "That's him? That's him? Skinny little white boy, that's him?" And well, we knocked him out. We really killed. And so after the first show, can I curse?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Mr. Coles comes up to our dressing room and he says, "I'm going to change up the show." He says, "I'm putting you on before the star." He says, "Because ain't nobody going to follow you two motherfuckers." That became our spot.
Billy, you're being very modest about this story, because when you just touched upon the history of Judy Clay and you at the Apollo, it was really the first kind of act. And that time you recorded records together, and you really broke a lot of color barriers. And I'm sure that there was pushback from professionally, and that it wasn't always seen as progressive as it was, but you both blazed a trail in a lot of ways at that time.
Yeah, nobody had done that before. I mean, we weren't even thinking about it. The song was not really about interracial couple. It was really an adultery song. You've got his ring, you've got his heart, you've got his baby. So it was about that. It just so happened that we were of different hues.
Yes.
Because she had the voice. We auditioned about 20 girls. I first recorded it with Nona Hendrix.
And I'm going to get to her because I'm a huge LaBelle fan. Huge.
I always have been too. We used to play this club where we were the house band before we had any hit records. And every weekend we had 2 hit record acts, one on Friday and one on Saturday. And they were, mid-level acts. In those days, an act like Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells got $350 a night, for which they would drive up, the 4 girls, their manager, his wife, and all their little crinoline gowns in the trunk, and drive all the way from Philadelphia to this club on the border of Connecticut, and drive all the way back because there was no money for hotels. And anyway, the very first time we backed up an act, it was Patti and the Bluebells, and their music is very hard. Danny Boy in D flat. You'll Never Walk Alone in B natural.
With that high ending, and their harm.
They were great, but we made it. We did well. And then the next night, so Saturday night, was Little Anthony and the Imperials, and their music is difficult.
Another singer sings,
fire, honey, and so we became one of the best backup bands in the area, And anyway, I became friendly with Patti and the girls, and when it became time to find a duet partner, I thought of Nona because she had a deeper voice that would blend well. And so we recorded it. We actually recorded the song together. And but their manager got in on the act. He was afraid that if we had a hit, she'd leave the group. So
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say I had the pleasure of being, I don't know Nona, but I had the pleasure of being friends with Sarah. And
She was
Sarah Dash, one of that whole group was so ahead of its time, all of them. And I just they are like my spirit. Like they give me all the feels because they're something special. Just like you, and be able to record. And you did end up working with Nona and I'm eventually.
And she was kind enough. These guys did a documentary on me called Harlem to Hollywood, and so I got Nona to be in the film, and she told the story, that I just told you, and she was very gracious about that, Well, anyway, we wound up after 20 girls who sounded like they should be singing Stephen Sondheim songs. They didn't really have the right feel for what we were looking for. And we heard Judy, and that was the voice. We knew.
I love it. I love it so much. I love that story. Then you go on to be a music director and conduct, and then you decide to put together your own band. Is that kind of what happens?
I'd had my own band all along.
Oh, okay. So you were, yes.
5 days a week writing songs down on Broadway, Fridays and Saturdays, and other midweek gigs with the band. And then on Saturday daytime, I worked in a black record store called the Boss Record Shop in White Plains, New York. So I was a busy boy back then.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And was it really like they make it look like, working in, Tin Pan Alley kind of speak, like it was these amazing rooms of songwriters just cranking out hit records?
Well, not all hits, but we kept writing songs. Not every day you didn't write something. One time, I'll never forget this. A buddy of ours, Ted Darrell, the late Ted Darrell, he wrote She Cried by Jay and the Americans. Anyway, he wrote for a company on the 12th floor. Chip and I were on the second floor of 1650 Broadway, which was the coolest building of them all, because all the great publishers were there. So we'd meet Teddy for lunch. Sometimes we'd go up to the Stage Deli or wherever. So he was a little late coming down to my office, so I go up to the 12th floor, and all these guys were looking out the window with binoculars. Well, across the street, 51st Street, was the City Squire Hotel, and a lot of stewardesses used to stay there, and there was a pool. And so the guys would be looking at the binoculars at the girls with their bikinis and stuff. But what had happened was, all of a sudden, this guy says, "Oh, check out room 426." And apparently they had scoped out the hotel, and they could tell each other which room to look in so they could see people doing naughty things. And the guy says, "Oh my God, is that? No, it can't be. That's, holy shit, that's Rex Harrison." So Rex Harrison was in the room with some girl. And all of a sudden he finishes what he's doing. and so this guy named Reed Whitelaw, he calls up the hotel and he says, "Excuse me, can you give me room 426, Mr. Rex Harrison?" And they put him through. And so the guy puts on this faux British accent. "Sterling performance, Mr. Harrison." And there he is, buck naked. He comes to the window and he does this elaborate bow and smiles. And all of us are applauding him.
How amazing is
all writing songs all day long.
that he had a sense of humor. Dr. Dolittle himself is across the hall. Yeah. That is a trip. That is a trip.
I don't think I've ever told that story on camera.
That is the funniest. My big question for you as we get to this part where you then just record, and this was what I found most fascinating to talk about at this moment. You put the song out. It went to 79 on the chart. It was not in Family Ties. It was not a #1 hit record yet.
Yeah.
And after that song, I don't know if it was not because of the song, but you put that record, you got dropped from your record label.
Actually, it was a Japanese-owned company, and this was the American office, the LA office, and they hadn't had enough hits right away, and so the Japanese pulled the plug. So there was no more record company. So for the next 5 years, I was eking out a living, acting and playing Thug of the Week on, shows, stuff like that.
Right. I mean, you had a big acting, you had a big TV career in Days of Our Lives, and and continued through the 70s, 80s, Beverly Hills 90210 and Baywatch and all of that. But so you turned to that, and the song kind of just charted at 79, and then just
it lay dormant. Yeah.
Dormant.
And then one day, the phone rings, the golden phone call. This guy says, is this the Billy Vera that has the band? I said, yes. He said, oh my God. He said, I've been having trouble finding you. He said, we were at the club the other night and we heard you do a song. Oh, by the way, I produce and write a show called Family Ties. Well, that was the #2 show in the country, at the time after Cosby. And he said, we have an episode coming up that we think your song would be perfect for. I said, well, great. We'll call my publisher, Warner Brothers, and, license it from them. It'd be great. So they use the song, and I get a bag of mail. Now, I had songs on TV shows before, and usually it's in the background, and, you make a few bucks, and that's nice. But nothing, I never got mail before. So I said, well, maybe people like this song. And so I said, well, maybe I'll call, see if I have anybody left at 35 or 36, whatever years old I was by that time. I guess a little later. But nobody was interested. I thought maybe they'd let me re-record it, a new company, a different company. And nobody was interested. So then one day I'm having lunch with this fellow named Richard Foos, who owned a company called Rhino Records. And they're in the business of oldies but goodies. Mm-hmm. And we'd have these periodic lunches where we'd argue over whose version of Mustang Sally is the best, mock arguments. And so I told him the story I just told you. And I said, what, maybe you could license, an album of my stuff I did for the other label, and maybe see we get a few sales at this moment. And he only did it because he liked me, he never thought he'd make a penny off of it. So he puts it out. Well, by the time they got it out, we missed the reruns. And then the following season, when the girl breaks up with Michael J. Fox, they used the song again. This time, the story of the episode, Boy Loses Girl, is the same as the story of the song, Boy Loses Girl. And America went nuts. And NBC said, we got more phone calls and stuff than any time in the history of the network, this song. And people started asking for it in record stores and calling radio stations, and with no payola and no promotion, nothing. It just happened grassroots, organically, and next thing you know, we're leaping over Bon Jovi, leaping over Madonna, and we're number uno. Yeah.
A #1 charted 21 weeks. The song charted 21 weeks. And it's played. You will hear it. I grew up listening to it, and I will tell you what stands out to me when I hear the song. Besides your vocals, which are so heartfelt, musically, as someone who grew up studying music and sings, the space in between your chorus and the verse, the breath that you give that song, it aches. The song aches. It's such a connection. And then my favorite part, and I don't know if it was intentional, if you did it, who did it, someone, it's that piano little crescendo that is at the, it's such a piece of, what would you think? Ka-ding! And it's so I listened to it all week because I knew you were coming on. So every time I would go on the elliptical machine or take a walk for exercise, I listened to the live version, I listened to the studio version, I listened to the YouTube version. Every version, no matter what year it is that you're singing it, no matter where you're singing it, you just are a puddle. It's such a beautiful song.
Thank you. People seem to really relate to it. The funny thing was, I never thought it was a hit song when I wrote it. It just shows you what I know. But I think my as a professional songwriter, my big complaint was, well, it has no hook. It has no good title. I didn't even know what to call it. There's no place in the song where the title leaps out, because now it's forever. People always say, hey, do your song there. What did you think? That thing, that song, If I Could Just Hold You Again, hey, they never get it right. And so that didn't help. But people related to it. And when the record was out, it covered every demographic you could imagine. We had kids were their junior high school prom, that was their song. We had 65-year-old married couples, it was their song. It was on the pop charts, it was on the country charts, it was on the rhythm and blues chart. It just seemed to touch a note everywhere with all kinds of people, and then the cover versions started coming.
Of course. Well, that's the sign of a great song. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So,
when you were writing songs for a living, you want cover versions.
Sure.
The more covers, the more bucks, baby.
That's it. And I can't even imagine how many dates, weddings, it has literally spun around this world over and over.
It's funny when people say we sing that at our wedding. I said, dude, it's about a breakup.
It's not a love song.
I want to sing your song. I'm not going to jinx your wedding.
I just want to hold you again because you're gone. That's what you're saying.
Here's another thing. When Facebook came along, this woman friended me on Facebook some years ago, and she said, my grandfather wrote a song called Moonlight in Vermont, a wonderful standard.
Beautiful song. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she said, your song and my grandfather's song have something in common. I said, what's that? She said, neither song has any rhymes. And I was totally unaware of that. I wrote the song and I didn't even know there was no rhyme in it.
That's true. Now that you say that.
You heard some of my other songs. But I just never realized it. And it made me think about that. And I said, well, And it took me about a year. And I said, maybe that's what makes it more conversational, because people don't converse in rhyme. Well,
is there was it just a song you just wrote, or was there a story? Is it a true story? Is it inspired? Was it just, let's write a song?
No, this one, I tend not to write autobiography, because I have a saying, autobiography is for amateurs.
I like that.
Professionals create. But this one came about, it just started, this was back when I still lived in New York, 1977. I just started dating this girl. She was a 20-year-old college girl. I was 33. Beautiful girl. And she was, but like a lot of 20-year-olds, she's very narcissistic. And she's telling me about breaking up with her last boyfriend and how he suffered, and he cried so much for her. I think she kind of got off on it, But at any rate, I was back home. I was at my mother's piano. A loser musician lived with my mother at that time. And I started writing the song from what I perceived her ex-boyfriend's point of view. So I finished it about 2/3 of the song, and I couldn't figure out how to end it until a year later when she dumped me. And that's how I got the last verse. You know.
Well, it is a beautiful song, and I know that propelled you into a whole other stratosphere of concerts, appearances, recorded music. I think if I read it right, you were on the Tonight nine times.
Sometimes, yeah.
Um,
A crew and a friend of mine who wrote Johnny's monologue
mhm.
told me that I'm embarrassed to say this, but I was his Carson's second favorite singer after Tony Bennett.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be embarrassed to say that. That is the highest of high compliments for sure.
Well, he had a lot of singers on his show over the years, you know. And when he had his 30th anniversary of the show, they hired us to play. So I guess he must have liked me, you know?
I would definitely think so.
Yeah.
For sure. Have you always tried to marry the music with the acting? Because you've done a lot of acting.
No, I had no intention of being an actor. When I first moved to LA, I put the band together because I had nothing to do on the weekends. And my old bass player from New York was living out here. He moved out here 3 years earlier. We wanted to meet girls, you know. That's basically. By the time I'm 34, 35 years old, too old to be a world star. I figured I'm just going to write songs the rest of my life, and we'll play on the weekends for fun. Well, we end up getting a job with the famous Troubadour, and we worked there every Monday night, midnight, and the worst night of the week, the worst hour, and we were doing sellout business for a year straight. And now I forgot. Oh, I'm getting old, man. I forgot what that was.
No.
To. What did you ask me about?
About acting.
Oh, acting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So one night at the Troubadour, Chip Taylor's brother, John Boyd, comes in with his acting coach, a fellow named David Proval, who you might remember from The Sopranos, and David was in Mean Streets. He played the bartender. So they come in, and John comes up to the dressing room afterwards. He says, "Man, Billy, I've known you all these years." He said, "I never saw you sing in person." He said, "You're doing something I've never seen a singer do." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, you know, singers, they come out there, and they don't sing to an audience, they sing at an audience." He said, "You know, I'm going to make you laugh, I'm going to make you cry, I'm going to make you feel what I decide you're going to feel." So you don't do that. He said, you just lay it out, man. You know, you let them, you give them permission to feel what they will without you manipulating your audience. He said, "That's what all the great actors do." He said, "You should really come to David's class." I said, "No, John, I ain't going to be I'm not good looking enough to be an actor." He said, "No, you don't understand." He said, you could be great. I could picture you up there with no guitar in your hand, with no microphone, no song, doing words, doing a story. You got to come. But he's very persuasive. So I go, and I figured I'll just go to do it. He won't ask me again. You know? I'm sitting there, and the first two guys I see get up on stage is this guy Chris Mulkey and this other guy named Rocky Echeverria, who became Stephen Fowler, who, by the way, ended up working with John, and then, you know. So anyway, I said, "Boy, these guys are really doing something real up here, man. This is not just what I thought. You know, I thought acting was bullshit. You know."
Right. It's.
I stayed. You know, I kept coming back, and it took me a while to make the transition. And after people started asking me to do plays and later television shows, and I better do it, you know.
Yeah, and you did, and you have a huge resume. If you look you up on IMDb or go to your Wikipedia page or whatever, like your credits are literally a who's who of television and films through now. Fascinating. And
I got to work with some good directors, like Blake Edwards, who's Oliver Stone. You know, so yeah, I did okay.
I would think so. If Oliver Stone is hiring you and Pink Panther, him, the mind behind all of that, Blake Edwards is hiring you, I think that you.
He was my favorite, Blake Edwards. He did traffic. He lived up in Malibu, so we never worked after 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, that would be my favorite too. Wrap it up.
And he was very loyal. He had the same people working for him for 20 years. Same stunt guys, the same camera people, the same audio people, and there was never an attitude moment. You had Kim Basinger and Bruce Willis in Bruce's first movie, starring role, and everybody got along well, and it was really great working with him. He was really great.
From your transition to music and songwriting to hit songs to acting, movies, and television, you have done some really great TV theme songs.
Oh yeah, that was the two you played. That especially King of Queens. That was like having a hit record financially.
Yes,
the show was on 9 years, and as we speak right now, it's on somewhere.
Absolutely.
And they got to pay you for that.
That's right. I'm sure you get a good amount of SAG checks in your mailbox or however it's paid.
Yeah.
That show is going to be played for eternity. It's on 24/7 somewhere.
Are you old enough to know the Honeymooners?
I sure am.
Jackie Gleason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the way I got the gig, a friend of mine called me up. He said, "Well, listen, I just took over as a head of music at Columbia Pictures." He said, "We got this new show." He said, "It's like the Honeymooners sideways. Fat, stupid guy and a hot wife. It's the same show." And he says, "We got this theme song. I want you to come hear it." So he takes me to lunch. We're sitting in the car, and he plays me the song. He says, "What do you honestly think?" I said, "Well," "this is a show about a UPS driver, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "This sounds like Paul Simon's idea of a country song." So he says, "Yeah, well, we're stuck with the song because for political reasons, with who wrote it." And said, "Can you think of something you could do with it to make it work for what we have here?" I said, "Well, you got to make it dumber, man. So I said, "Man, nobody can make it dumber than me, man." So we rearranged it a little bit, with the Beatles, with my band, and we go in there. We did one take. It was perfect, and we did a second take for safety, and we're out of there in a half hour. The end,
And now it's played for 9 years of network television, and now in syndication forever.
Yeah, thank God. Thank God.
Thank God. That is an amazing. What a story! I was going to ask you, how did you get into that world? And there you go.
Yeah. The other one played Empty Nest. They
Mm-hmm.
wanted Ray Charles, but I guess they didn't want to pay the money that he demanded.
This said call Billy Vera. That's not.
Call Charles.
Well, you produced a lot of records besides singing on a lot of records, and I think one of the artists that you are most associated with would be a real legend, if there was one, and that's Lou Rawls.
Lou Rawls. Yeah, and I got Lou to do a duet with Ray Charles. That was a thrill, because Ray Charles, to me, I don't know if anybody is going to agree with me, but I feel that Ray Charles is the greatest musical figure of the second half of the 20th century. First half was, you got Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington. Can't beat them, but Ray was a hero to me, a big hero. So yeah, but Lou, we brought back his career. He had been making what I call Vegas disco records.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't selling at all. They were terrible, and so he got signed by Blue Note Records, the great jazz label.
Yep.
Bruce Lundvall was one of the last great record men. And he said, "Look, forget about what he's been doing. take Lou back to his roots, jazz, blues, the kind of music that people originally loved him for. You know, in fact, use some of your songs. He ended up cutting 7 of my songs over there. So we did that. We just got some of the great studio musicians, Richard T., Cornell Dupree, Stanley Turrentine, Benny Golson, Fathead Newman. I mean, all these wonderful musicians. They all wanted to help Lou make a comeback. And it went to #1 on the jazz charts, the first album. And he was back in the record business again.
That voice, that deep voice. You talk about tone, a rich tone of a voice, man.
Well, you know, he comes from the black baritones.
Mm-hmm.
Eckstein, Joe Williams, Arthur Prysock. I mean, there Barry White, Isaac Hayes. You know, I sort of half kidding. I said, you know, Lou, we ought to do, you know, because do you remember when Pavarotti did the 3 baritones?
Yes.
3 tenors.
3 tenors. Yes.
I said, Lou, we ought to do the 3 baritones. You know, Barry and Isaac, man.
That would have been a tour. You would have sold out everywhere.
I know, right?
Would have sold out everywhere. Well, you know, you brought up Ray Charles. Because you don't have anything else going on, Billy. Like, you don't have TV theme songs and acting and concert dates and songwriting. You really are a music historian. You've written the liner notes for over 200 albums. And you could see the love of music oozes off of you, and your knowledge is insane. And I listen to everything and anything because music is a universal language. You know, it makes us all move and feel. You won the Grammy for liner notes for the Ray Charles. I think the Genius. I didn't write it in my notes, but what is it? Was it the Genius album?
It was what was it? What did they call it? I had done 8 Ray Charles liner notes for different albums. In fact, I was nominated for his 50th anniversary album as producer and liner note writers, and this one was called something Genius. Anyway, it was the complete ABC Paramount singles. Mm-hmm. It was a 5 disc, and so yeah. Again, that came from people I knew about Ray Charles. I knew Ray. I wouldn't go so far as to say we were friends, you know, but he used to listen to my radio show. I used to do a radio show.
Of course you did. What haven't you done?
I just started back on radio this last Saturday. Yeah, I'm doing they wanted a jump blues show, you know, so I'm going to do that every Saturday night, 6 to 8 Pacific time, 9 to 11 your time. So,
I love it.
Yeah, jazz88.org.
Jazz88.org. I can make a banner for it right now. We're going to put www.jazz88.org, the technology of the world. We can put that up there.
Oh, so you're quick, man. Wow.
Keep on my toes.
Too bad, baby.
That's thank you. And we also could say, if you want to, Billy's website is up there. He's on social media as well. So you speaking of writing, because after you hosted the radio shows and wrote the liner notes and won the Grammy for the liner notes, and I'm an old school. I was talking to him. I teach 5th grade to pay my bills and then pretend to sing and act as well. And I was telling my students today, we were doing African American History Month, and we were talking about, one of them brought up Michael Jackson. And I said to them, they said, you know, Thriller, 50 million albums sold. And they were like, what is an album? And I'm like, I was like, okay, so when I was
a CD,
when I'm 38, so I was like, I had tapes, and then tapes became CDs, but there were records. So when you talk about music now is in the air and it's free and it's on your phone and it's not any, there's no, but I live for liner notes, and I like, as a kid, I would buy the album. I wanted to know who produced it, who wrote the songs. I want to see the thank yous. I want to see the studio they recorded at. It made me think, and it made me envision what I wanted to do when I grew up and who were the people I wanted to work with.
Sure. You're an information junkie like me.
I guess so.
Yeah.
but it's a lost art. I think it's so important. And I love to see that you do it. And I love how vinyl's coming back and people want.
I just got this last week. A fellow called me up. They're reissuing a CD of mine called Billy Vera Story, and they're going to put it out now on vinyl.
I love it.
Love it. I said, man, can you do color plastic?
Yes. Yes.
Color vinyl, man. I don't know if he's going to do it. It costs you another couple pennies.
I know, and I know they're not that. Yes, thank you, Christine, saying she loves her CD. I get it. I love the CDs too. Well, when you were bored and you had nothing to do for, I don't know, an hour or two in your life, you decided to become, after writing all the liner notes, you're an author. You've written numerous books.
Yeah. Well, people have been after me for a long time. They say, you tell great stories. Why don't you write an autobiography? Oh, man, nobody's interested in me, blah, blah. So my attorney hooked me up with a couple of book agents, and they all said, you're not well enough known, no, you're going to be a hard sell. So finally, I said, okay, well, I'll give up. And then, people kept bugging me, put it down. So I said, I learned how to write by writing liner notes, because I'm not an educated guy, really. I dropped out of Fordham University 2 weeks into my sophomore year, because I had a record out. I was going to be an overnight star. You understand?
Star, yes, of course.
Oh, this is pretty great too. So I had this one lay teacher. You had Jesuits. So we had this one lay teacher. He was a young fellow, and I told him I was going to take a leave of absence. my last day, he says, you're not going to come back. He said, but don't worry. He said, you're smarter than most of these kids in here. And in school, he says, what I want you to do for me, he said, and he came in with a stack of his old Elvis records of his own, and he gave them to me. And he said, I want you to find an author you like, read everything he wrote, and then find another author, read everything he or she wrote, and keep doing that, and never stop reading, and you'll educate yourself. He says, because you learn the one thing that college has to teach you, which is how to find knowledge. You see, so that's anyway, that and the writing so many liner notes, I learned how to write. And so I figured, well, I'll take a chance, So I wrote the book by myself, and we got a publisher, and they gave me a nice little advance.
Yes.
And wow, I got that check, I like that, and we sold some books, So
well, here's the cover. It's going to block our faces, but here, take a peek at this. Is the memoir and the story.
There it is.
Harlem to Hollywood, which is such a great, because great story, and it's literally your life story from childhood up and through all of these stories.
Yeah,
you wrote it without a ghostwriter. You wrote it yourself.
Yeah, every word. Edited it myself. Yeah, although they put their editors in.
Sure.
One of the companies I wrote a lot of liner notes for was Rhino Records, the oldies company. And their fact checkers voted me the one of all their writers I needed the least fact checking.
Well, right. Well, now I know, because I'm born in '83. I loved, I watched this VHS tape of Sammy Davis Jr. growing up, and that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to do.
You wanted to be Sammy.
I wanted to be Sam. I don't dance like him. I don't have a voice like him, but I just love showbiz. So I was always an old soul, and I loved growing up and wanting to hear. And I love R&B, soul music. Yeah. So what I loved about Rhino was that if you bought a compilation CD on Rhino, there would be a booklet, and the booklet would be the story of the artist.
Right.
Not knowing that you probably wrote it.
Well, we were nominated for the R&B box set. So that sounds like something you would have bought.
Absolutely.
Disc set, yeah.
Absolutely. Billy, when you said that you can talk, we can talk literally for hours. And people are literally writing and saying, I love these stories because you literally have a firsthand view of so many aspects of show business and have worked with so many people. What
mentors, you know?
Mhm.
Happy to say, I'm fortunate to have, you know, some. Jerry Wexler was one. Atlantic Records. He signed me to Atlantic Records for Storybook Children, and we remained friends till the day he died. You know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you see Respect? Did you see the movie and him?
Yeah,
Him.
I'm sure he would not have been too happy. They made him look like a buffoon.
You saw,
which is unfortunate. Too much of the husband in the movie. But
yeah.
I'll tell you, she sang the hell out of my favorite Aretha song, "Ain't No Way."
Ain't No Way.
Sang the living piss out of that song, boy. Yeah.
And you talk about, we were talking about Sissy Houston before, the original record, you know, Sissy, that with that high, whew.
That note, yeah.
That note, that's not an easy song to sing.
Oh, Sissy, they were all, that whole family was just so talented. My God, you know.
Well, everyone that's watching, firstly, we're all gonna get off here. We're gonna go wherever you listen to music, whatever. I know streaming services are controversial, but wherever you listen to music, your live album, that live album At This Moment Live, which has been stuck in my head, and the studio album, and all of the songs that you have to go. We have to all go and stream them. And
well, you get if you like the live one, you can get that on the Best of Billy Vera and the Beaters.
There you go. The Best of Billy Vera and the Beaters. I know when I go on, you know, the under compilation, there's all of your albums, and then I go to compilation, the best of is there, and I love the live one. And you what did you do a show? You did a show over the summer at Feinstein's or at Catalina?
At Feinstein's, yeah. At Vitello's, used to be called Vitello's, yeah.
Yes.
And then we did one about a month and a half ago down in San Juan Capistrano at the Coach House.
I love it.
In June, I'm slated to do my high school, Archbishop Stepinac High School, June 25th.
And that'll be here in the East Coast.
White Plains, New York. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to come, Billy. I have to see your show live.
Yeah. Well, I'll post post it on Facebook and everywhere. So, and on the website. Yeah.
Or if I happen to be in the West Coast, I'll have to see you on the West Coast or somewhere. But I want to hear you. I want to see your show. I want to see your band.
Yeah,
because
there's some bad boys. They can play.
They are bad. They are bad. Everyone, you could go to billyvera.com and you could follow him on Facebook and on Instagram. Will you come back? I know, as you said, we were going to say that. You said I was going to say, come on back.
Anytime you want, man. I'd be happy.
Thank you. I just love music and artists so much, and you're a true artist.
That's what makes you a great interviewer.
Thank you. No, that means a lot to me. My show is literally your show, and I hope to see you out on the West Coast or when you're back home here.
Great. Well,
bring a winter jacket.
When you want me to come back, I'm not too.
Thank you so much. Thank you, friend. I appreciate you. Thank you for all the work you did. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, man.
That's Billy Vera, everyone. Grammy winner Billy Vera. I hope you can listen to his music. He is truly, and we're getting some comments thanking him for the stories and the music. Literally, talk about the Great American Songbook. As the Great American Songbook gets, as the years go on, these songs have become a part of the Great American Songbook for sure. So I'm so happy to have been able to speak to him. He's such a generous, kind soul, and what a talent, man. I'm gonna have to steal one of. I was thinking about it. I'm like, if I record another album at this moment, I have that. Those mailbox checks, Billy. Well, I had the luck and fortune to sit down with Janae Longo, who's over at the Tropicana. She is the Adele impersonator in the Legends in Concert show on the Strip. And I got to talk to her yesterday for a few minutes while I was in my classroom. So don't miss this conversation. Check this out, everybody.
There ain't no room, all the things that change when we are both so deeply stuck in our ways. You can't deny how hard I've tried. I changed who I was to put you first, but now I give up. Go easy on me, baby. I was still a child, didn't get the chance to feel around me. I had no time to choose what I chose to do. So go easy on me.
Legends in Concert presents Legendary Divas at Tropicana Las Vegas, featuring celebrity host Frank Marino as Joan Rivers, with live musical tributes to Celine Dion, Adele, Lady Gaga, and Cher. Tickets on sale now. Visit legendsinconcert.com today.
Okay, everyone, listen. If you've seen TMZ, if you've seen the newspaper, if you've seen the news, you have seen this next performer plastered literally all over the place. The Strip is talking about it. The media is talking about it. We're talking about it. Janae Longo is here. She's Adele on the Strip right now. The only Adele you could see in Vegas, and she's here. Hey, it's so nice.
Hey.
Cheers.
Somehow,
I wouldn't expect anything different from somebody that's in Vegas as we speak. Look, I'm coming to Vegas this weekend, and I'm looking. I am.
I love it.
I'm coming to Vegas, and you can find me at the Fat Tuesdays. I'll
The yard glass.
the yard glass.
A really long straw.
Look, I have so many. Firstly, growing up, we used to vacation to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I have a brother. Okay. My brother was allowed to pick one night, and I was allowed to pick one night. And little Robert would pick to see Legends in Concert every year in Myrtle Beach and drag my family. I have more professional photos with Elvis and the Blues Brothers than I know what to do. So when I saw that you were in the Vegas production and playing Adele, I was like, I need to talk to her. I'm such a fan of the whole entire company.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing family. I've been in Vegas for a very short time, but meeting and being blessed enough to have this opportunity with the Legends and Concert family they've been nothing but supportive. You really couldn't ask for anything more. So I just feel very grateful, very humbled, and just enjoying the ride. Like it's very exciting.
What a ride. Well, this is what I know. You're from New York State.
I am from Buffalo, New York. Yes.
And you've done everything you can do and show your cruises, Christmas caroling,
Digital theater, theme parks, waiting tables, doing hair.
Hey, listen, Legends has a deal with you because I heard you do your own hair and makeup.
We do. We all do our own hair and makeup. The dressing room, the women I share the stage with, Lisa McClowery as Cher, Elisa Fur as Celine Dion, and Tierney Allen as Lady Gaga. Watching all of us in the dressing room transform is really probably the most crazy thing I've seen in a while, because you're just looking around going, what is going on right now? But it is a lot of fun.
That's a reality show pitch right there. That's what the reality.
It's hilarious. We've been doing TikToks, and it's a good laugh. I don't know how to use TikTok, but Tierney's like amazing at it. So she's like, showing us the ropes on the TikTokers.
I get that's a whole world and culture. My fifth graders teach me about it.
It's like a whole nother world. Fifth graders are teaching you about it. Like, I'm with you. I was like, just where do you want? What are we doing? And tell me. And but it's cool.
It is. Well, you've created some buzz. Firstly, how did this idea to be Adele, come up with to be the Adele lookalike in the show? Have you always thought you sounded like her? You're stunning. You are so beautiful.
Thank you.
So what made you think I got this? I can be Adele.
I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater. And when she came out with her first albums, I've always listened to pop, I always listened to country, I always listened to blues, musical theater, of course. And, I've just kind of like moved with her as we've all grown with her over the years. And, she has a way of resonating with people. If it's not her voice, it's her comedy on stage. It's her real personality. It's her, and I'm a mezzo soprano. She's a mezzo soprano. We both have sort of like that kind of raspy edge. So I always kind of resonated with that. And yeah, when I moved here 4 months ago, it was for a holiday gig. And a friend of mine was working at Legends. He said, they hired any backup singers. And he goes, we're looking for an Adele. And I said, I gotta find a job first, but maybe I'll put together a package and send it later. And then like an audition package, like with promo headshots and everything. I was like, I'll think about that. But then everything kind of fast forwarded. And Tony and I ended up talking, and I put it together in a very short amount of time and went and auditioned, and it's been really, really amazing.
Well, we just showed, prior to you coming out here, we showed a clip of you from the show. Firstly, what people need to know about Legends is this is not a lip syncing show. It is no. This is live band, live voice,
dancers, live voice, live musicians, the whole gamut.
Yeah, and this is Vegas. Like, this is lights, dancing, set.
It's the world. It's the best city in the world where you can see anything you wanted to on any day of the week, except for us on Tuesdays, we're dark. But the rest of the time. But it's really hearing Cher, hearing Lisa, and hearing Tierney Dugaga, and hearing Elisa Celine. It's amazing watching and being able to see these women hone their craft and hone their character. And especially since it's just out of their love for the true artist. Like that's how, it's us just paying tribute to them. So it's been a wild ride. I'm like, how do you, and we'll be warming up or whatever. And I'm like, how did you do that? Like, what does that feel like to you? And as singers, we're like kind of trading little tips, like, put it back here, or put it up in your nose, or like the resonance and resonators. It's been cool.
It's such an amazing skill to be able to get up there and do this, because it's not like you're just doing your set, which I'm sure it would be. I want to see you and I want your music to come out, but to be able to get up there and then be somebody else and transform us and transfix us to that, you're getting for the price of one, truly, 4 legendary divas.
And
truly.
5, let's not forget Frank.
And Frank.
And Frank, boom, boom, boom. Our
There's
MCR.
no one more iconic than Joan Rivers, and
iconic.
Iconic.
We had the longest running show, like the Divas tribute show. Like it's the talent that is there. I just sit in awe sometimes and go, how did I feel like I got the golden ticket. Like,
well, we're going to sit in awe of you and watching you up there. You all are where you're supposed to be for now. And then the sky's the limit, truly, for you after this.
I really hope so. Legends, being a part of this family is, even in the short time that I've been here, it's just opening all the doors. And as a performer, as an actor, as like a lot of my friends in New York on Broadway are still on ships or still, working and keep going and running down that road. Like this has been a really cool reward for a long time, a lot of work as artists, So I hope Adele as an artist sees it and is flattered, and I want her to find the joy in it, because we're just trying to spread the love and entertain. That's what we do, right?
Well, I'm sure she would. She seems like a good time. I'm sure she would.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did this great idea for all those ticket holders that waited in Ticketmaster queues and spent all of that money? Adele's residency was supposed to come. Adele and Celine are not in Vegas as of now. How did the idea come that if you have a ticket, you can come see the show for free?
It was just it was Legends and just paying it back, paying it forward. You know, like people love to be entertained, and it's a genius idea. And you know, show your ticket, get a free ticket to see 4 amazing voices, 5 amazing personalities, and that's what Vegas is, right? We're here to be entertained. So let us come and let us do that for you.
That adult playground, Legends in Concert is playing right now. It is at the Tropicana, a beautiful space right smack in the middle of Vegas.
On the heart trip.
Yes, the heart of the strip. And then all of us, before I let you go, can you just give us a little bit of what music, what songs? We're going to get all the hits from Adele. We're going to get all the hits from Cher. You guys, it's the greatest hits moment.
We're going to be turning back time. We're going to be going easy on you, but then we're going to roll you in the deep. And then we're going to show your heart will go on. And for all those little monsters, you're going to be get your gaga kick as well. So monsters.
You can't. It's literally 5 shows for the price of 1.
And the costume changes. Like the women, they're just, it's really, truly amazing. It's a great time.
Well, listen, I have grew up literally watching Legends in Concert. I know the amazing job that you guys do, and it's really funded and fronted by the amazing artists like yourself. It's what makes it happen. So thank you for entertaining us all on the strip. Thank you for all of the love and joy you bring to us all. And if you're in Vegas, make sure you stop by Tropicana and come see Legends in Concert. It's there. Go.
Yeah. Come out to Vegas.
Come out to Vegas. It's a lot. It's alive and open. You guys are open, and the shows are open. The casinos are open. The food.
And this is like the perfect. Everything's coming back, and this is what people, real life's back and entertainment's back, and everything's just going to keep going up, 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 up. So it's really exciting.
Well, we have to support the arts and the arts workers for sure, because everyone's been hit so hard. Like you were talking about people on ships and on Broadway. It's time for us to support the art and the artists that make us happy. So absolutely. I will be in Vegas. I'm going to have to, don't be surprised if you see me peeking up there at the Tropicana.
I love it. I love it.
You're the best. I'm so proud and happy. And thank you for being here. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, how sweet is she? So sweet. Congrats to her. That was fun. That's my life at school on my break. Next week, we have with us Lonnie Price and Ann Morrison. They will be here to talk all things Merrily We Roll Along, and there's a lot more shows. Some of you have asked about my music. So, and I talk, so if you know me, I'm very sarcastic in the way I'm always self-deprecating, but I'm so grateful that my own album, as we talked to great artists today, called Unfinished Business, came out last July. If you don't know it, you can stream it. Since this show started, this is our 8th week. We've doubled streams and people have been finding my music. So please, go to robertbannon.com. Come see me in New York City in April if you would like. Go to robertbannon.com to find out. And here's a little taste. If you're into American Songbook, if you're into jazz, if you're into some of the great classics like Billy Vera sings or these other artists sing, please, you come on down and listen to, see, Jay, this was for you, because earlier on Instagram, I said to Jay Santino, I was joking and I was like, I want to sing like him. And he texted me and called me out. And so here's my album. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week on Thursday, our normal night. And thank you for being here. Mwah! Bless you all for joining me. And I'll see you all real soon.
Your son, you fight him or let him grow. You got a smile so bright, you could have been a candle. Yeah, how sweet it is to be loved by you. How deep is the ocean? How